Of course, the Houston Cougars are elite, but they find themselves in an Elite Eight game that feels like that Spider-Man meme.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Cougs, the podcast about your Houston Cougars. I'm your host, Houston-born teacher and coach Parker Ainsworth, coming to you with a quick, short edition of Locked On Cougs, getting ready for Houston and Tennessee in the Elite Eight Sunday afternoon, the early game Sunday, 1:20 Texas time. I say that because I don't know why it's that early a game. Houston finished after midnight Texas time on Friday night. Feels like a really short turnaround, but Houston plays the Tennessee Volunteers. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. More on that fun at the end, but I do want to talk a little bit about this defensive battle between two teams that feel very much like one another. Both teams are the kind of programs that hang their hats on their defense. Barnes and Sampson's buddy friendship kind of thing from when they were kids playing together in the state of North Carolina clearly translates to a very specific style of basketball that both teams strive to play. This goes back, they were both at UT and Oklahoma and all that stuff, but this goes back even farther than that. These two guys are really, really close, and their programs are very, very similar. Tennessee is also led on offense in terms of scoring by their three guards. They're guys, I guess, as far as like rotation kind of stuff goes, are, a little bit smaller, a couple spots, but they're bigger at the big man spots. And those guys, do a lot of the same kind of trash junkyard dog type of work that maybe don't get the kind of unsung praise in the short roll. If the team talent's from it, it's because it is. The guys, Houston's kind of like stop at the point of attack. Zakai Ziegler, point guard, I believe he's at least defense player of the year in the SEC. I don't think he was all tournament. He was all freshman a few years back. Really, really talented. He's only listed about 5'9", 5'10", depending on what side you're looking at. He's little, but he's strong. He's quick, and he's explosive when he makes a cut on the ball. I imagine he and Milos get each other just from a point of attack versus point of attack kind of thing. I don't know that he'll guard Milos necessarily. They might put Chaz Lanier on Milos. Chaz Lanier is their leading points man, 6'4", 175 pounds, 18 points per game, shooting the ball at a really efficient clip, 40% on 8 3 attempts. Defensively, I think you might see Emmanuel cover him. He's 6'4", get a little bit more size on him. He's also a pretty important part of their offense. I think LJ Cryer is going to get the Jordan Gainey matchup. Another guy that's averaging over 10 points per game is at 11.4. But Gainey, 30% from three, a little bit more traditional in how he scores the basketball. All these guys, though, feed off of the energy of Zakai Ziegler. He is the motor that gets them going. And I think the biggest thing that Houston's got to do is find ways to get him to change directions a few times, right? As he's driving down lane, make him change directions 2 or 3 times before making decisions, slow them down, etc. Both of these teams are very, very comfortable in slowing the game down. So I'm not sure that you're going to see like a bunch of, I don't know, like high-flying, fast-paced, etc. kind of offense. These two teams play pretty traditionally slow paces. Even in the modern game, both teams are willing to work the clock down to find a good shot on offense, and both teams are going to try to work the other team down on defense to a late shot clock type of situation. On the whole here, if I'm looking for advantages for Houston, I think just like anyone else they play, 3-point shot making is going to be important in this one. Emmanuel and LJ did not shoot the ball particularly well on Friday. Milos obviously did. And I feel like that kind of feels like, okay, then Houston's going to see those other guys kind of flip the switch. How often do you see those guys shoot bad 2 games in a row, right? The trick will be for both teams is this is their second game in 3 days. So jump shooting could be tough. Now, this is a tough opponent for that to happen against. They're in their locker room saying the exact same thing, right? That they got to make shots. It's tough to say that you make shots when the other team is this good at things defensively. Once they make Zakai Ziegler change directions a few times, though, he's looking to dish the ball out, find someone to get the ball to. I think that Akpara is probably the most challenging one of those kinds of guys to get the ball to. Akpara is a big, strong. Make sure I got the height and weight right here. Big, strong guy. Let's at 6'11", 225. If you told me he was 235, I'd believe he's pretty well built guy. And he's a pretty good guy inside of 5 feet. They got to make sure they're finding him. The biggest thing to that end to me is finding the tag man on the roller. So when they run the high pick and roll, Houston does the thing they do, or they bear it, or they monster it, or I guess they monster low guys would be more like a blitzing it or whatever up top. Whatever the case may be, once they do that, finding a way to get that tag guy on rotation to take away the short roll and then help the helper and take away whatever backside cut is at the rim. I also could see Houston do some things where they say, hey, we're just going to trust our length and get over the screen, or we're going to switch things. Houston has every right to believe in their bigs out on the perimeter. And frankly, while they give up some size with Milos or Emmanuel on a power forward type guy in that screen roll action, they're giving up a little bit of size with their starting guys and their starting bigs in there too, right? I wonder if you'll see Houston get into some small ball kind of stuff and kind of force the issue and kind of, inflict their will on Tennessee. We know Malik Wilson is a game time decision listed apparently on Saturday morning via a bunch of Houston beat reporters in the area up there. It was reported late at night that he was having trouble with concussion-like symptoms. Sounds like there may be a game time deal on Sunday. We'll see. Obviously, the biggest thing for him is going to be getting healthy. There's a life after all this and all that. But if he is healthy or able to go or try to go, that'd be a big deal. If not, I think Terrence's length defensively will impact this game as a guy coming off the bench for sure. I think Terrence is due for a good offensive game, but even if it's just on the defensive side, Terrence's versatility is going to be important in this one. So look to see him have an impact. Javier as a third big rotating through will be important. And then again, I think that you'll see Houston do some of that small ball kind of stuff as well. As far as what they'll have success with on offense, outside of the four guards kind of weaving stuff that you've seen them get into, I imagine it's going to be a lot of taking advantage of, just like the other way around, taking advantage of the double teams and spinning it out and getting Jawan Roberts in short roll situations. Jawan's a great facilitator and playmaker. I think that what you're going to see out of that is, frankly, a lot of hockey assists kind of action from him. They're going to make him pass the ball out of it when he catches the short roll. They will. He'll kick the ball out from the nail to one wing, probably opposite the one he got it from. And then defense rotation, they're probably going to be looking to catch the guy in the second rotation out of that, hence the hockey assist kind of action out of J1 here. I think that we've seen sparks, obviously no bigger assists from Tugler than against Purdue at the end of the game. Back to Milos, but JoJo Tugler's also shown a propensity to be able to do that in four-guard lineups. So we'll see how those kinds of things go. I also wonder if you'll see more four-guard if Malik is out, actually, as a way to kind of only have to have one big in there at a time with Terrence at the other guy. Emmanuel playing that kind of three spot, quasi-3, quasi-4 spot, etc. On the whole, this has a chance to be the best game. I'm recording this before the first Elite Eight game tips off. But from a good versus good matchup, this might be the best game in the Elite Eight. It's two hyper-talented teams that play the exact same style of basketball, and it's going to be a rock fight. It also might be the lowest scoring game in all of the Elite Eight. It might be one of the lowest scoring games since they put in a shot clock in Elite Eight history. Both teams are just that stout defensively. Both teams will go through 4 and 5 minute stretches without scoring. Both teams will go for a moment where it feels like they can't buy a basket because the other team is doing things that are impressive on offense. And both teams are going to make great defensive plays. And at some point, it's going to come down to a handful of gambles here and there, poking at the ball, double teaming this situation, double teaming that situation, and which team pulls through and is able to take advantage of that. Now, I think it's easier to take advantage of that when you're making your jump shots because that adds a layer to your offense. But playing the second game in 3 days, and for Houston, it's more like 38 hours, that's going to be challenging. And so we're going to see, both teams, I'm sure, shoot the ball poorly just because of the tiredness and that factor. Houston's game was tougher on Friday in terms of like having to play to the final whistle. But Tennessee did not like to just run through and run away with Kentucky. I think I'd finished at a somewhere around 12-point game or something like that. I should have that pulled up right in front of me, but I got so many windows up right now. I'm still thinking Houston's got the edge here. I understand this is good on good, and I, again, have a lot of respect for what Tennessee's built out there. And I understand that this is a pair of Hall of Fame caliber coaches. However, I just think that at each spot, I'm taking Houston's guy by a little bit. Ziegler and Milos is the closest, but because of the size and the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to take Milos. Emmanuel versus Chaz Lanier. Chaz Lanier is getting 18 points per game, but I still think I'm taking Emmanuel because he has more layers to how he scores the basketball. He doesn't quite get as many points per game, but he scores in a broader variety of ways. Both guys are very good defensively. LJ Cryer versus Jordan Gainey. I'm taking LJ Cryer. You guys know me. I'm taking LJ Cryer over a lot of guys, and I don't think he's going to have a bad shooting game 2 days in a row. Juwan Roberts and JoJo Tugler versus Akpara and is it Mashak? They'll probably start Cade Phillips. Anyway, they'll probably start Mashak, pull Cam Phillips. I got all the highlights and things going on at one time in my head here. I imagine that I'm still taking Houston in both front court spots, though, as far as Akpara and Mashak goes. I'm sorry, I guess in my throat. I'm trying to get this out before we're like under 24 hours from the game tipping off, which is crazy. Obviously, Houston's got a lot more prep in this than I do. They have assistant coaches that have been doing this for a few days now to get ready for it. As far as the like X factor goes, they're going to say probably Igor Milicic. He's a almost 10 points per game kind of guy. He's a little bit of this, a little bit of that on offense, but truthfully, he's a strong defender at 6'10", and he's probably a guy they think will be impactful around the rim. With Houston starting JoJo and Juwan, both notably shorter than Akpara and Milicic. I wonder if they can kind of work Milicic in a way in those kind of short roll situations that makes them second guess where they're playing. But we'll see. This is a tough game and a tough matchup for Houston at 1:20 local time, 1:20 Texas time, I should say, on Sunday. We live after the game for a moment to talk about it as well. But before we get too far, before we into all of the game, I do want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our buddies over at FanDuel, because March Madness is here and the Cougs are elite. And March Madness and FanDuel are bringing you every chance you can get in the action like never before. Right now, new customers can put down $5, win, and get $200 back in bonus. Best $200 extra bucks to use on everything. Buzzer beaters, Cinderella stories, in-game, everything, all on FanDuel.com. I like how easy to use the app is, so trust me on this. Go visit FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoops action today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.